What do you want to be when you grow up? Isn't that a fun question? It's a question full of hope. And when we ask this, we expect big dreams to come from the mouths of the kids that we ask. Do you know that there was a study done of children ages 2 through 12, and the top 10 jobs that the kids wanted to do when they grew up were firefighter, doctor, police officer, artist, singer? You know, not one of them said, I want to grow up to be homeless. The reality is that 76% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck with no emergency savings to cover even a $500 car repair or a $1,000 hospital bill. The face of homelessness, it's not who you think. They've not chosen to live this way. We often have this picture in our mind that homeless people are people who've chosen to live this way. They don't want to work. They're all drug addicts. They live on their own. And it's not really our problem because it's their choice. But that just absolves us or makes us feel like we don't have to have compassion. But we're called as people of God to have compassion. So we need to rethink our mental picture of who the homeless are. Only 15% of those who live on the streets would be classified as chronic homeless. Most of them see it as a temporary, unfortunate situation, and they want to work to better their station. 1 in 3 people who live on the street is part of a family unit. That's right, families with children living on the streets. Most of these family units are headed by young single women who are mothers who've become victims of abuse. So for every 1 person who's living on the street in a family, there's 2 who are living by themselves. Can you imagine the loneliness you would feel living by yourself, trying to survive by yourself? This is not a caricature of a faceless person. This is not just a nameless person that you're walking by on the street. No, these are people with stories, with hopes, with dreams. They're humans. They're your fellow human beings. So when you decide to help, the first step is to get in their shoes. You know, I thought I had a compassionate heart for the people who were facing homeless. I worked downtown in downtown Denver for a while, and there was a regular homeless person who had a wheelchair who panhandled right outside my office. And I would often see her as I was heading out to lunch. So one day I thought, hey, Zelma, let me buy something for you. What would you like? If I'm running to Walgreens, what do you want as a treat? And she said, Cheetos. There was hardly any hesitation. And so I dutifully went down, bought my friend Zelma her Cheetos, and came back all ready to be a blessing. And she refused my gift. I was offended. Why would she do that? She sent me on an errand. Well, she didn't send me. I chose to go. But still, she gave me an item to buy. I bought it for her, and she refused it. All of those questions passed through my mind when she refused that gift. And then she sighed and pointed to her mouth and said, I don't have enough teeth for these kind of Cheetos. I was so embarrassed that I had caused her embarrassment, that I had made her speak those words out loud. She needed the soft Cheetos. You know, it's not too hard once we start thinking this way to put ourselves in the other person's shoes. We often can remember it's cold outside, they probably want hot cocoa, but we don't think about these other things, these other very common issues that they face. We have access to clean water all the time. Where does a homeless person get clean water? In fact, dehydration is a serious issue with many people who live on the streets. If you can think, what do you like to eat? You can ask them, what they like to eat, or you can just put yourself in their shoes. Okay, I'm probably not going to want a can of green beans when I'm sitting here on the street with no can opener and no way to cook. So how can I best meet their need? The problem of homelessness is on decline, but even so, it can be daunting for one person. So if you've decided to help, you could carry a quick packet to share. You can carry things like a water bottle, and some applesauce. These are quick things, nutrition, little pick-me-up, and something to fight hydration. Keep this in the back seat of your car. You pull up at a light and someone's asking for help. You've got a little something to give them. You can look them in the eye and ask them their name. Make it personal. Remember that 2 out of every 3 people who are living on the street are trying to survive on their own. That's a lonely existence. Sharing done rightly will not enable them to stay on the street, but it may give them hope and remind them of their own potential. There's a growing concern that if we give money to the homeless, it's just going to be used on drugs and alcohol. And it's true that if you do give money straight to a homeless person, it could be more of a curse than a blessing. Because of that cycle of substance abuse, you might be lengthening the cycle for them. Another problem is that you might be giving it to the wrong people. Many people will pose as homeless, and they'll just pull a shift of panhandling, and people can pull in $50,000 to $60,000 a year by taking advantage of the good hearts of drivers who always give. And money wrongly given is money that's diverted from the strongest allies of the homeless. They're the ones who are the shelters. They're the ones who are who provide pathways out of the situation. So if you want to give and you want to give money, make it count. Give it towards a group, towards a entity that is working to make a difference. If you can't give money, then carry along those things, like I said, something tangible to give. Now, if you're thinking it's cold, I want to give them something warm, keep in mind that new clothes are not appropriate in this season of their life. Because brand new or brand name clothes or items can make them a target for theft and muggings. It can also be that they use those resaleable items to get pawned, and they get pawned for the cash that you didn't want to give in the first place. And there's rare opportunity for a homeless person to do laundry. So once the clothing is too dirty, whether it's a $1 garage sale find or a $30 brand new sweatshirt, it's going to get tossed. When you share what you have, you're not just changing one life. You're changing 2. So as you go out into the world and you think, I want to make a difference, here are some practical tips that you can use. Give to the agencies, give financially to the agencies, and give appropriately to the homeless person on the street. Make connection. Let them know that they are loved and that they are valuable. You may not make a difference for every homeless person out there, but you might just make a difference for one.